My name is Jeremy Fowler. I'm the Chief Operating Officer for Arlington Valley Farms in Hudson, Ohio. We completely refurbished this building in 2019. As we were looking at several equipment manufacturers, we looked at several different kettles, really. And then as we were looking in and vetting different options, we found Blentech. And obviously, they say never settle for a kettle. Engineering side's been great. I was on the phone with them several times. When we were going through the design process, did several iterations, especially around the PID process and what it looked like, and I wanted to make sure that it would do exactly what we wanted to do. They were also very knowledgeable about what I needed from a utility standpoint. I could get the boiler installed, I could get the exhaust in, I could get the electrical connection set up, but I could basically plug it in and connect it and eliminate that install window. I was able to sit down with our contractor and walk through, okay, here's what I need for jacket steam, here's what I need for, DSI, here's what I need for condensate. I was able to walk through that because of the clearly done PID that they had put together. And then we had some questions, and I was able to go back and ask those questions, and we modified some pieces. I think we ended up moving even the HMI from one side to the other based on the layout in the plant, and they were able to make all of that happen during the design phase, and from my perspective, we had a very seamless install. I had the opportunity to come out when we did the factory acceptance test, and what was very useful out of that is we ran some tests, for example, barbecue sauce. So when I came back here, I got a full report of here's the temperature parameters we ran, here's a copy of the recipe, so I at least now had starting points. When I started to build the recipe out here, it was really more of a modification as we scaled that recipe up. I wasn't starting from ground zero. We did several calls ahead of time. They helped us source ingredients. We were able to source ingredients that were very similar to what we use out here. I thought they were very well staffed, very knowledgeable of what the Blentherm could and couldn't do. We cooked several test batches, and then, like I said, I got full reports of what we had tried, documentation of here's your base recipe, here's copies of the histograms of your temperature profiles, and as we were going through our commissioning process, I had a starting point that was really more of a very small step versus starting from ground zero. So to me, that was time well spent. When we were cooking whole cherries, very impressed with the scrapers, because a lot of times you'll get burning next to the jacket wall. We didn't get any burning, which is great, and it also simultaneously doesn't destroy the cherries. So you're able to produce an almost whole cherry that comes out of your process. So in fact, that's the whole reason we were able to do the toasted cornbread in there. We run them through a Fitz mill and bring it up to a low heat, and those scrapers prevent those crumbles from burning, give it a nice toasty, nutty flavor, and then help evacuate it out. So no, the scrapers are a big part of what I like about the internal operation. What's been really nice on the Artist software is the recipe management. So, our founder really does all of the base recipe creation. He's the chef, right? And then really my role is then to take his recipe and convert it into, large scale manufacturing. And what that Artist software allows me to do is take his cooking process and translate it into Blentherm steps, meat heating, mixing, direct steam injection, jacket heating, cooling, discharge, take his process and put it in there. And then what I can do is push that to the Blentherm, my operator, and execute the steps in the recipe. There's a notes section where if they run issues, they can document it, and then that gives me feedback from R&D to full-scale manufacturing. Now we've got a documented process on how we took it from the lab out to full-scale production. We would not have been able to go and felt comfortable sitting at the table across from some of our other customers that we're working with right now without having that capacity, that capability here in the plant. So that enabled us to go find new customers and to step into retail and to step into a larger food service presence that we would not have been able to do without it.